Howdy, y'all. I'm still in the process of, oh, look at that shifter. I don't know if I showed you this yesterday or not. I used some Pour 15 two-part epoxy, and I took this old piston that I took out of an air compressor years ago, and this used to be the shifter for this car. At some point it got moved over and was being used for something else, and I put it back on here yesterday. And what I did was I took that two-part Pour 15 epoxy, shoved a big piece of it in there, took one of those brass nuts that I was using on the exhaust manifolds and put it up in there, and it fit this shifter shaft. So then I was able to screw that nut on there and push this on there and let it harden up. So now I feel a little play there. So I don't know if I'd let it harden enough yet or not, but we'll try it. We'll see what happens. Also, you know, I hooked up the vacuum wipers the other day, and it's raining this morning, so let's see how they work. And the other thing, I tightened up the attachment on the temperature gauge, and I did some more work around the thermostat on this car, and that's a little bit complicated, and if it works I'll explain what I did, and if it doesn't work, well, we'll go back to the drawing board. But I was having some issues with this getting warmer than I wanted it to be, and I also had a little leak where the temperature thermostat housing cap goes down on the manifold. And one of the things about those is it's really pretty easy to strip one of those aluminum manifolds. It takes some doing to get everything to be right. So I spent a little time with that yesterday. Jerry and Larry came over, and we all kind of looked it over and thought about it. So here we are. It's raining a little. And you know what? I'm not one of those kind of guys that won't take his car out in the rain, because my car ain't that special, if you know what I mean. It's not like it was a red 67 Camaro Super Sport or anything like that. And, you know, if it gets dirty, I'll just wash it. That's the way I'm made. That's the way it is. In fact, I took this thing through the washer. Took it through the washer the other day. Up in Elberton, just made my $6 or whatever it is and run it through there. And I got a little leakage out of my driver's side window, which I thought I might, but it wasn't as bad as I thought it might be. Also, my vent window held up. It tends to that place around where the vent window mounts is kind of worked up. So anyway, we'll just mosey up today. I think we'll mosey up toward the park and let this thing get warmed up, then watch and see what it does temperature wise, see if we get any leaks out of it or anything. Now see, that's what vacuum wipers do when you gas it. As soon as I let off, they'll speed up again. That's one of the things that old people like me who grew up in cars that had vacuum wipers were familiar with. We knew how that worked. We were okay with it. Well, we didn't have any choice. Back then we didn't have electric wipers. We do have electric wipers today. In fact, they make a kit now that you can buy that'll, I believe it'll just bolt right in where the old electric wipers are. But that costs money, and right now, if I spend any money, I'm not going to be spending it on that. So we're going to not get that kit anytime soon, and we can get by with these, you know, as long as I'm aware that when I gas on it, she's going to stop like that. That's not the biggest thing, you know, it's not the biggest bad thing that could ever happen. So far my temperature gauge is still cool. The ideal situation on here is that the car runs at about 180 degrees, and I had 160 degree thermostat in here the other day, and I went up to the car wash and I left it idle, and I went over to the parts store and it started leaking a little bit. And I think what might have been happening right then and there was that my pressure relief radiator cap didn't release the pressure when it was supposed to, because I noticed that it it got hot enough so it relieved its own pressure out of the radiator, which is not a good thing. And I fixed that. So here we are again. And we're up to, we're still, the temperature's still pretty cool in here right now. But one thing about it is by driving it a little, see, I can go ahead and get it warmed up. Then I can, if you can actually watch one run at idle to see if you're getting enough fan through the radiator, enough air through the radiator to keep it cool. I do have defrosters on this car. If I can remember how to work them. I think you pull this, no. Fan and temperature is full. One of these is defrost, one of these is heat. It might be this thing down in here. I got a thing in my dash here. It's got a wire that works that. I can locate it. That's it. Okay, now my defroster's on. So I think I'll open my little vent window too. That's the other thing you can do. On these early cars, you could crack this little vent window over here, and that would give you a little bit of air. So get back to the house, see how we're doing with the temperature and all. I'm just going to take it straight back to the house because I had a leak yesterday, and I want to make sure that leak is fixed before I go. I went on a pretty good long drive yesterday, but it was leaking when I got back, so I want to drive it enough to stir up that leak if it's going to be a problem, so I'll know. I'm going to take it right back over to the house, pop the hood up. We're going to look at the motor. By the way, the motor is from nasty. I got blue antifreeze all over it yesterday. So, but the nice thing about it is that shiny chrome. It's pretty easy to wipe it off there, clean it back up. It's pretty easy to do. we're just going to leave that running while I get out and flip the hood up. It ain't leaking. Temperature's up there about where I want it to be. I think what I'll do is put the hood down, go drive it a little more. Go back in here. Might need to idle it up a little on that slow idle. Pretty sure all this rain's going to do wonder for the grass. You know, we've had some pretty darn nice weather lately. A little mix of sun and rain, and we're starting to get some flowers growing over in the front yard. Kind of watching the banana trees to see when they're going to jump out.